Muscle Up Traders. It's 19th of October, Sunday. I took some trades during the week, which I recorded whilst I was taking one of them with a lot of confidence. And I've just watched that video, and I just wanted to go through the trade again after, having recorded the trade, and now having watched and reviewed that trade that I took. So going into this week, I was fairly confident that, or especially after Tuesday, that we're going to pull into the 618 of this range, because we had after rejecting this high during FOMC last month, been displacing lower, held a bearish fair value gap on the daily time frame, displaced lower, quite a nice extension that came all the way down to the start of this bullish fair value gap that price had previously rejected at 1.155 level. And then this pattern right here on Monday or Friday, bullish inside bar candle, Monday bearish inside bar candle, and then Tuesday taking out the lows of the Friday and Monday and put in a bullish candle after rejecting this daily time frame fair value gap start again. And then again, seeing Wednesday candle being so bullish, I was quite certain that we were going to push into the 618 of this range. But as you know, I took a short on Wednesday after this candle because there was a range on the 240. So this was the range that I was watching, 1, 2, 3, and as price came into somewhere around, not even before taking out the high, somewhere around here, I took a short that I exited very early, because there's, like I said, at least wait for price to come into this high before taking that short. If I'm going to take a short, exit that trade, because I'm predicting price to come into this 618 level, which it finally does on Thursday evening UK time, so 1 a.m. US time, with a channel on the 60-minute time frame, which is something I really do like to see at key levels. And also at that 618, we had on the 240 this swing high with this bearish fair value gap. We had the 50% level, and as price came into that level, I took the short quite aggressively, mainly because I did not want to miss out on the trade, because I was definitely predicting price to shoot lower. It's just I wasn't sure when price was going to do that, and because of that, I wanted to enter somewhere where there was some kind of point of interest, and there was a point of interest there on the 240. So to me, it wasn't a bad trade. Although it's aggressive, it's at a level that I'm okay to be aggressive at, but that doesn't mean that I can't learn from that trade just because it was an A+ setup. 240, the order flow quite bullish going into it now, because this was just before the 6 a.m. candle close, or the 2 p.m. candle close UK time. Sorry, no, I took the trade pretty much at the start of that 6 p.m. open UK 4-hour candle, which is the 1 p.m. US time. And as price came into 1.168, I took a short quite aggressively, and I thought I took 1% short. I took 1% risk, but when I checked my trades, the stops were actually like around 1.3 or 4%. And as price started to move up higher, I wanted to move my stops from 1.1704 to 1.1707, just give it that extra breathing room. And by the time I woke up next morning, it had already hit the stops. So that's what it is sometimes. But this trade has been in my mind throughout the weekend, because of the fact that I was very, very confident going into it. And, we did come into a certain level and then displaced lower. It just happens to be that I was quite aggressive way too early. What happened? Okay, on the daily time frame, right? Daily time frame pattern, I'm expecting price to come into that 618. Around that 618, there isn't much point of interest on the daily time frame. Like, there's no fair value gaps up there. We have this daily time frame order block right here, and also we have that weekly time frame order block, which probably was a good sign that maybe I want to wait for one of them to be tested, especially maybe the weekly time frame fair value gap to be tested, rather than just that 240 point of interest, which obviously is a good enough point of interest. But because I'm looking at the daily time frame and expecting the price to come into the 618, which it does, it's not just going to tap that 618 and drop, right? It can do sometimes, of course, and that's a play that's once it starts to drop, then I can look for trades along the way to the next area it wants to go to. But I should be waiting for some further sign that it might hold at that level. One other sign that I did say was this accumulation, but this is too far. I think this one here, but this one accumulation before that 618. However, the way price moved up here, and this was the candle I entered at the beginning, so that could have been anything, you know, that it's bullish now, could have been bearish candle, who knows, right? So if that was a bearish, then I can next day, you know, price to push up slightly higher and then take out the high before dropping lower. I think that would have been a good play, another good play, but obviously that didn't happen. But yeah, I took a trade. Yeah, this is 1 hour as well. Accumulation was another thing on the 1 hour time frame. You know, we took out this high, put in a bearish candle, failed to hold, and to me that's accumulation before coming into this high on the 60-minute. And the fact that we had this channel and RSI diverging coming up to that high was just a very good setup that I just couldn't miss. And I'd even said on my video that I could potentially get stopped out, you know, price could potentially pull back here and then push up, take out my stop, and then drop lower, and which is what it did. And I did say also that I would be happy to take another trade if that does happen, and which I did on pound dollar because it provided a better setup. Although I broke some rules, mainly because one of this trade, instead of 1% risk, I risked 1.5%, and the other trade I exited early and only profited 0.7%, so still a 1% loss in total, around 1% loss in total. And the main principal rule that I broke was I'm not allowed to take more than 2 trades in a week, but I took 4 trades this week, mainly because I was so confident in this trade that it was going to, you know, continue lower. And yeah, I wanted to be in that trade, and I just stuck to my 2 trades rule. I would have not gone through all of this stuff, but it's a lesson. It's a good lesson. I should be learning, or I am learning along the way. One of the trades that I took was, like I said, somewhere around here at 2 a.m. Wednesday, 2 a.m. US time, so somewhere around here. Exited early, didn't want to be in that trade. Took a L somewhere around here on Tuesday on pound dollar, around this level, or it was euro dollar. I think, yeah, this is the one. Price pushed up, took out liquidity, market structure shift, and then I entered on a pullback. And as price took out this high, there's a separate video for that, and there's a reason, very good reason why I took that trade, and I like that reason, and that's the kind of reason I won't be repeating again. This reason, this is a good reason for me to take that trade. Just maybe 1% risk would have been better. But going into the week, I didn't have any prediction as per my post-trade analysis video that I did on Friday. But at the moment, you know, this is quite a nice rejection at that level of the 618, that weekly time from order block, and it's the way it's displacing lower. I do actually think we might continue lower. I do think we've found resistance. Maybe we'll pull back into this range somewhere. I do believe a lot of people or traders will be looking at this bullish fair value gap and looking to go long. And I think maybe on the 15-minute time frame, you might find a small pullback, a short-term counter trend trade at that level. But I do believe we are going to continue lower, and it depends on how Monday and Tuesday play out as well. If we just continue higher up, I think again that would provide another opportunity if you're bearish, or if I'm bearish, for price to continue lower, and that would be a very good trade. And there was also potential opportunity to go long here, but that would be on a lower time frame, and I wouldn't want to aim or shoot for, you know, the moon at that level. So let's see how next week plays out. Let's see what news are coming out as well. I see CPI coming out on Friday. Fair enough. So Monday nothing, Tuesday, Wednesday, just CPI coming out on Friday. So let's just everyone's going to be waiting for that. Yeah, let's go. Sup traders, it's 16th of October, Thursday, 6:15 in the UK. It's 1 p.m, 1:15 US time, and I've just taken a short on euro dollar at a level that price has come into, where I've been expecting price to come into for a while, and it's the way prices approach that level that I quite like, and because of that I've taken a short. One of the main reasons going into this week, I was bearish. We had this very strong bearish candle last week. I know, although we're closing quite bullish and we've started to show some quite strong bullish order flow during the week, I've been waiting for price to come into the 618 of this range, into a level, and it's the way price approached that level that I quite like, and because of that I've taken a short. I was predicting going into the week, you know, price to continue lower into this daily time fair value gap 50%, but the way price reacted at the low after this extension with this inside bar candle on Friday, bullish inside buy candle on Friday, and again a bearish candle that failed to continue lower on Monday, followed by a candle that took out the low of Friday and Monday and turned bullish. After seeing that pattern, I was expecting, or I was predicting price to pull deeper. And where was I predicting price to pull deeper into that 618 off this range? Although I took a short quite early on, somewhere around here during the week, I was, after that failing to hold, predicting price to continue higher up. And one of the areas that I was watching the whole time was this high right here, where we have a swing high just below that 618%, and also we have this bearish fair value gap on that 240 at that 50%, and it's the way price approached that level. I took a short around here during the week and then moved the stops to break even. But one of the main reasons I'm taking that trade is because of the way price approached that level. We had this accumulation, we had a small accumulation, and today we had, or yesterday we had this accumulation just before that, which suggested that price might actually, it looked like it was going to push lower. It didn't on the 1 hour time frame. Again today and earlier during London session, it looked like we were going to find resistance at that level. It didn't. We formed a channel with RSI divergence at a key level, right? RSI is diverging right now, and we had this channel right there. And to me, it's this pattern right here just before coming up to that high. So we had this high and price took out. Price, it looked like it was gonna continue lower with this bearish candle, failed, continued higher. Again on the 15-minute as well, we had this failed market structure shift at this high, the Asian session high right here. Failed market structure shift, then pushed higher, again accumulated. And to me, after seeing all of that, I am expecting price to find some kind of a resistance around here. Maybe tomorrow or tonight we'll continue to see something. We might continue to range, right? We might even take out my stops and then drop lower, who knows. But I am expecting some kind of a resistance, and I do believe I've given myself enough breathing room around here. I think I've given myself slightly more above the second fair value gap high, and let's see how that trade plays out. I believe it also SMT with GU at that level. Well, EU made a new high, GU didn't. And look at this GU candle, bearish engulfing candle. Price came above the 618 on GU, by the way, off that daily time frame range. And we might see another bullish candle tomorrow. Honestly, it does look like we might see another bullish candle tomorrow. Although euro dollar has printed, today will be the third bullish candle. We might see the TGIF setup tomorrow play out during London session or even during Asian session tonight. So because of that, I've entered that trade. I don't want to miss out on a trade that I've been waiting the whole week to play out. So I'd much rather enter early than regret not entering. And I've got 1% stop loss, which is in line with my rules. I've got a stop loss, again that's in line with my principles. I'm chilling, so let's see how this plays out. SMT, like I said, GU made a new high, EU made a new high, GU didn't. GU also, like I said, similar to euro dollar, I was expecting price to come into, although the 618, the 618 of the range is here. We didn't really have any level with fair value gap above it, on GU, which GU has right there. So it did react off that level earlier today, and closed the previous session on the 4 hour time frame with that quite a nice bearish engulfing candle, liquidity candle. So it might push lower, it might not. We've got the SMT with EU, and this is right here. We have, it looks like it's bullish to me, to be honest with you. So, and also it's not formed I believe it's formed a channel from here to here. There was potential to trade up here, but to me it's already moved too low. And I'm expecting this candle on the 15-minute to be a bearish candle now on EU, and then again price to continue higher up, because it probably wants to accumulate one more time around here before taking out the high and then dropping lower, if it is going to drop lower. If it's not, then this is going to turn into bullish and continue higher up. So let's see how those trades play out. Let's see how that trade plays out. Honestly, I would be happy to re-enter this trade if it moves up again one more time, but we'll see. It's Friday, 17th of October, 6:30 almost UK time. This is how that trade played out. So I was slightly early in my prediction. I might have entered with slightly higher risk because I was very confident with the fact that I was predicting price to continue lower from there. It didn't. I lost around, or it was around 1.5% loss. which to be honest, when I entered, I thought I entered with 1% risk. That's what I calculated. It's only after I entered the risk, I entered the trade. I decided to move my stops slightly above where I had initially planned for it to be. Moved it to 17077 something, which pushed my risk up a little bit. And also the way I calculated my risk, it was calculated slightly higher than 1%. And yeah, overall it went up to 1.5%, which is annoying, but it's what it is. We did eventually get that TGIF set up inside that range, right? Like I was saying, I was expecting price to find some kind of resistance. For me, right, one of the things that I did see was this order block on the weekly time frame that price hadn't pulled back into. There wasn't really any other point of interest except for the 240, and on the daily time frame, this order block. So yeah, I probably could have waited for price to come into that order block on the daily time frame and tap into that next day. Could have waited for Friday to play out. Thursday to play out, given the way price had approached that level. Although I was saying, we had this accumulation, and then with a channel on the 60-minute, to me that was quite a good trade. So I'm not going to consider this as a bad trade, because for me, yeah, it was a fairly decent trade at a good level. It's just price decided to push higher. I just wish I didn't risk nor move my stops above slightly and lost 1.5%, because it's a 1% lost trade, which I would have been more than happy with. And then price continued to push up, and this morning I saw this bearish candle during London session, and after seeing that, I was kind of, that was another sign that we might push lower. This bullish candle formed, this bullish pin bar, then price failed to continue lower. We took out the high, dropped lower, and put in this order block, which would have been a pullback on the 15-minute time frame, and then continued to drop. While this was dropping, pound dollar was not dropping, so that was another good sign on pound dollar that we could continue lower. Again, this bearish engulfing liquidity candle on a TGIF setup, right? This is a pretty decent TGIF setup, because we have Monday bearish candle, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday bullish, and because the overall order flow for me was bearish anyway, it's a perfect day to go short. And that bearish engulfing liquidity candle, and then a pullback after that, I believe that would have been closed at this candle, and then this order block candle was just a way to go short, essentially. Was a good sign that we might pull deeper, pull lower. I'm not sure where to, but that was another trade on pound dollar. And as that it was pushing lower, pound dollar was failing to push lower, so I did take a trade on pound dollar earlier on. So this is how pound dollar played out, similar to euro dollar, right? I was expecting pound dollar to find resistance around here. Like I was saying in my video earlier on, this is a much better accumulation on pound dollar. Look at it, accumulation very, very close to each other, unlike the euro dollar, which was quite further away. Comes into quite a strong point of interest, above this range into this fair value gap, taps it to the T with a channel on the 60-minute time frame as well. We've had a channel RSI diverging from this high, I believe, which is from like here all the way from here, or you can even say it from here, boom. And then we had this market structure shift on this 1 hour time frame, pull back into this fair value gap, right? And then we had this bullish candle, price to cover liquidity off that bullish candle, put in this bearish candle, and I entered somewhere after price rejected these highs, and as it was dropping, I entered somewhere around here, and I exited my trade somewhere around, I believe around here. I took a 0.7% win. Should have left it, yeah, could have, should have, would have, but after taking a loss earlier on, I was just happy with some damage control, which probably isn't a good thing to do, because this is, I don't think this was revenge trading, but it was revenge trading because I have a rule of not taking more than 2 trades in a week, and I took 4 trades today. One was the earlier trade from euro dollar, which I shouldn't have taken anyway, because this goes beyond the 2 trades rule I have in a week, but because it was coming, I've been waiting for that to come into that level for so long that I couldn't resist, and I was so confident that it was going to play out that I was more than happy to break my rule confidently without even thinking twice about the fact that I was breaking the rule. Like, it's almost like my brain didn't want to think about that at all, because to me it wasn't breaking the rule, because I was taking an A+ setup. But that's a rule I put on myself for this specific reason, because it's too hectic. At times I need to, you know, just learn to take it slow, so manage my emotions along the way. And 2 trades right now has been very manageable with everything else going on, because, you know, I don't trade full time, I work full time, and it's not easy to take more than two trades in a week and review those 2 trades and learn as much as I can from 2 trades. For anything more than 2 trades, 2 trades is manageable right now, so let me manage what I can rather than trying to push my luck. 4 trades is way too fucking much. But this played out. Yeah, I could have left that play out all the way down to these lows, but I exited that trade quite early. So overall, between the 2 trades, I lost around 1%, which is exactly what I wanted. But now, yeah, going into next week, honestly, I don't really have a prediction. To me, it's just consolidating and ranging at the moment. Maybe we'll continue lower. I have no idea. I'll see how market plays out. You know, I was predicting price to pull back into this range. To me, I could see price coming back down to this low on euro, on pound dollar especially. We pulled back into the 618, above 618, tapped into this previous daily time frame fair value gap. Right, that's another factor to look at. Although it happens to be in the 240 point of interest, it also is a daily time frame point of interest as well. Or you might just pull back and then push up. Honestly, like I said, I don't know the order flow on this anymore. Same with euro dollar. I was predicting and also hoping it would come to this fair value gaps 50%. It didn't. We rejected this 618. Maybe we'll come up to this high next week, of Friday's high, and find some kind of resistance, and maybe we'll drop lower before dropping higher. I'm not making any predictions, and honestly, it doesn't look like it's very tradable right now anyway. So I'll wait for price to come into some point of interest with channels. I think I'll stick to the channels, like I know, especially with those accumulations, very close accumulations, as price comes into to form the actual channel. And yeah, let's see how next week plays out now. No predictions going into the week. Anything can happen for me. If it starts to drop lower quite sharply, then maybe, you know, we will come into this 50% level, and from there I could trade it down to that level if it starts to displace lower. And once it gets to that level, I can trade a counter trade from there, which will be a very short term trade. So let's see.